So I want to break one table and the question I'm going to ask, when we talk about sex education, what do you think it entails really? What do you think when they say sex education? Because most times we shy away from having that conversation. Anyway, let me just tell you what it entails. So, sex education is about talking about human development. When you talk about human development, that is puberty, changes that girls and boys go through at a particular age. It also talks about personal skills. And in that personal skills, we have things like communication skills, setting boundaries, assertiveness. It also talks about sexual health. And that sexual health, you have things like contraceptives, abortion, unwanted pregnancy, sexually transmitted infection. Also, part of sex education, it has a social and cultural component where we can talk about things like gender-based violence, rape, and then how different culture or different society, how they interact when it comes to sexuality. The last one we have family. That's also family and relationships. So the summary is whenever we hear sex education, we tend to want to be like, it's not just about sexual intimacy. No, it's beyond that. Also know that ideally we should have age appropriate sex education. So for instance, if I'm talking to a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, I'm having that conversation about the changes that your body would go through in the next 2-3 years and how to handle them. I'm talking to them about menstruation. I'm talking to them about physical changes that they would go through, or the psychological, emotional changes that they would go through, and also telling them about setting boundaries, how they can set boundaries. So that's just an example. So when you want to handle sex education, it's better to contextualize, to understand your audience very well. So a practical example is if I want to talk to a school-going adolescent about sex education, the way I will put it will be different from an adolescent that is out of school or that is lives on the streets, or that is prone to violence, sexual violence. The way I'll talk to them will be different. So it's about understanding your audience and then contextualizing and then making it age appropriate. Because the truth is there are some conversations that you have about sex education that if you don't talk about contraceptives, you're just deceiving yourself. For teens, because of their demography. I have to talk about it. So basically, when you say sex education, about sexual intimacy, it's about human development. You're talking about personal skills. You're talking about sexual health. You're talking about society and culture. You're talking about family and relationships and sexual orientation, basically. So that's just it to answer that question. Thank you.